You still have a snack or something. That's like that's a breakfast shake.
This is good.
I get it. Huh? Yeah, it's breakfast. If I 24 hours, sometimes you still be hungry. I said, I work out hardcore. So I 24 hours get I think more protein.
This is good. Since it's my breakfast, I gotta nourish it. I drink a little bit more later. It's good.
Anne Marie. Do they usually show slides on this? Yes? No? I mean, I can talk around them. I just don't have the screen share.
Yeah.
Hi, Kat. You're on mute.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm teaching Ignite,
Awesome.
which I'm kind of excited, not teaching, I'm facilitating Ignite.
Did anybody else get in for the 1 o'clock because the link did not work for me?
No, it didn't work for me either.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
was
but-
able to get in through my phone, but not through the computer. It just gives me invalid meeting ID.
Yep. Same for me. All right.
So,
We didn't miss
Mo-
anything.
Melissa, the same thing, although I tried 3 different ways and one of those ways eventually got me in. I don't know if it was lag time or what, but so I can't tell you which one worked, but
What did y'all go over?
it was an open dialogue, open questions, whatever
Oh,
you wanted to talk about.
darn. I have a listing presentation tonight, my first one, and I need help.
Congrats. Awesome. You do well. You do well.
I love listing presentations.
Really?
Oh, I do. I do. All right, guys, are you ready to get this party started?
Let's party.
Woohoo! So I'm Kat Mayo. I am a realtor out of the, I'm actually an ALC member out of the Exton office. And I just moved back from Boston. I was here 5 years ago. Actually, it's right at 5 years ago. I started my career in Westchester, not with Keller Williams, got headhunted to Keller Williams about 8 years ago. So I was in the office for 3 years. Then my husband took me to Cambridge for one of his jobs. And we moved back in August. So I'm super excited about being back in the office. I mean, we belong to the best real estate firm in the world. And I believe that this franchise here is one of the best franchises out there. So that's my little plug. So we are talking today about skills to spark a great career. So I
can't
want
hear
to,
you clearly. there's some, maybe somebody are not mute or something.
Let's see. All right, can
There's
everybody,
some noises around you.
okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I wanted to just open it up with open dialogue to see what kind of ahas you guys had from the video this week.
I'll share one.
Okay, awesome.
You know what? Like for me, I think I was kind of starting to beat myself up a little bit over, not reaching like the goals that I set so far. And just like the talk in this Ignite about like the mindset that you need to keep, like that think big mindset. And you know, it really helped me. It kind of like it motivated me again, because for a second, like, I was getting down on myself. So, and I know when I start to adopt that attitude of like, oh no, like I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. I almost actually like bring that into like fruition, So, it got me pumped up again, which was really, really nice. And I liked, the envision your big life bubble that was created, where you think of some causes or some things that you really care about, how much they would cost. And then you kind of, it helps you understand what you're going to like. It helps to remind yourself when you're thinking, I don't want to do like I don't want to spend 3 hours today lead generating. I actually can think about why I'm doing it again and what my big life looks like and why I'm going to lead generate for 3 hours a day. And I'm really good at tackling like a lot of the small stuff that doesn't bring forth results, and then like putting some of the big stuff to the side, thinking, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. But just get a couple little things out of the day to make myself feel a little bit more accomplished. But I like the whole 80-20 thing that the video was talking about. But that's what I got out of it.
You are spot on, Justin, spot on. And, I've been selling real estate for 10 years, and there are days that I feel the same way as you, that you have to really pump yourself up. Did anyone make an affirmation? At the end of the video, there was an affirmation, which I thought I've never had seen it before. And I thought that was very powerful.
Yeah. I mean, just the call event we just had a few days ago. One of the ways my affirmation was that I'm calling people not because I'm bothering them, because I'm actually going to help them, and they want to connect with me. I want to connect with them. So that was like the first thing. I just want to connect with people to help them, and that changes how I went into the calls.
Absolutely. We should probably all start with an affirmation on a daily basis, or at least in front of when you're ready to lead gen, because, how do you eat a frog? Can anyone tell me how to eat a frog?
Know how to eat an elephant.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. One bite at a time. And, let's face it, what's the most important part of our job?
Relationships,
finding people to help, because guess what? We can't practice real estate if we have nobody to practice with, right? So, making those big goals, like Justin said, having the why in front of you, it will lead you to pick up that phone or to meet somebody for coffee, or however you're planning on doing your lead generation. So setting goals, I see a lot of business people, and I say, do you have a goal for this year? Are you a business person if you don't have a goal? No. Yeah, Ken's right. I mean, you're just floating around trying to do whatever. Whereas when you have a goal and you drive yourself towards that goal with the affirmations behind you and the why, you're more than likely will hit that goal. So let's get into this here real quick. What do successful agents do every day? They grow their business and they run their business. Now, I'll admit this part here is the fun part, running the business. But like I had said earlier, if you don't have anyone to practice with, then you have to spend more of your time growing the business, which is lead generation, make sellers listing presentation and get listings. Melissa, she has a listing presentation coming up, which when I was here the first time, when I first started, I was a buyer agent, and it was a buyer's climate. This was a buyer's market when I was here. Moved to Boston. Boston has always been a seller's market. And I had to learn to sell listings, and, one of the things I loved, one big question that I had, and a show of hands, how many of you guys are a little afraid of this? How many listings have you sold in Malvern? Are you afraid of that question?
No,
Okay, what would you say to that?
I haven't sold any, but I look forward to selling some.
So I had my first time I had ever had somebody ask me, have you sold a listing in the blank? And I said, no, I don't, but I have the resources and the resources available for me to sell a house anywhere in the United States. Because let's face it, does you knowing the neighborhood or knowing this or that or the other really that important to selling that you can't get in like an hour? So, don't ever be afraid of a listing appointment. It's just your time at bat, Melissa, and you're going to hit it out of the park. Good deal? All right. So what we're going to focus on today is growing the business, which is lead generation for buyers and sellers, and running your business, which is setting your goals and attending training. So we start here by envisioning our big life. And Justin, I appreciate you sharing with the group about the bubbles, because that definitely helps you figure out where you want to be and how much you want to make. Because if you have that in mind, you can just back into the numbers to figure out what it is. Here's another slide here about actions, small outcomes, and big outcomes. Does anyone want to comment on this for me?
I think she said to think big, so like not to think to limit yourself to small goals. So think big, so the actions will be as big as your goal.
So Serene, would you tell us what thinking big means?
Like not to limit yourself on like thinking of maybe I just can sell or find houses for buyers, maybe just, or I can do just, let's say 5 transactions, just limit myself to this number. Maybe think a little bit bigger than what you actually think you can do.
So Serene, were you thinking big on Thursday?
Yes.
Congratulations, you really hit it out of the ballpark.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think you got that thinking big down.
Something else that if you notice on this slide, which I think is kind of interesting, when you think small outcomes, you don't have to think as much. Do you see that? You know, the time and effort is minimal, the thinking is minimal. Whereas when you're thinking big, your actions are going to be bigger, your thinking is going to be bigger, you're thinking more, and your time and effort, which will bring you what you want. So how big is your box? Mine changes every day, to be honest with you. I wrestle with the positive affirmations, and actually I've decided, and I've just put in enacted, where I am every day doing positive affirmations, and I'm finding out that every day that I do my positive, every day building up, my outlook's better, my thinking big is bigger. Has anyone ever heard of the 66-day challenge?
Yes.
So Gary Keller says that it takes an average of 66 days to form a habit. You can go online on the One Thing podcast or onething.com, and you can pull down this sheet that has 66 days on it. So my 66-day challenge this that I took over on Friday was the positive affirmations. I know some people don't have a problem with this, but I sometimes have a problem with self-talking, not in the best way. So if I can change that, that means that I can have bigger thoughts on, bigger actions. Does that make sense? Does anyone else have that problem, or is it just me?
I'm with you.
So, this business is definitely a lot of mindset. So this is actually what Justin was talking about. And I love this because it shows what different things you want to accomplish this year. Does anyone want to share with us maybe some of the things that they want to accomplish this year? All right. So for me, I rescue dogs. So that Austin Pet Alive was very resonant in my life. And my goal is to foster 4 different dogs this year. I'm getting my first one March 20th. It's going to be an English Bulldog from China. And I donate probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year to the rescue. So that's one of the things that I put into that number. Something else may be a big trip. Every year I like to take a big trip. So that could be in my number. Does anyone else have any other great ideas?
I like to help pay for my daughter's college, or portion of it anyway.
There you go. That would be one of the bubbles that you would have. And what you do is you collect all these bubbles to come up with the big number. And that way, like Justin had said earlier, if you have this in front of you, you know why you're doing what you're doing. You know, every time you pick up that phone, you're that much closer to paying for some of your daughter's college, right?
Sure.
So this is all about mindset, all about goal planning and understanding the why behind the goal planning. So you envision your big life. Now you're going to understand your goals. So that's good. Where does it go? And I love this because
I love that too.
I know, because whenever somebody asks you to discount, it's a great visualization. So as a listing agent, you will have the whole pie, but what happens? The other agent takes half of it, correct?
Yeah.
Then you have your market center. They take a part of it. You have your business expenses. And then at last, your take home. But you can't forget, you have to give that 30% to the government, right?
Taxes, yep. So
this visualization to me is just a great way to talk around one of those objections that you might be thrown at. Did everyone, I should say, not anyone, was everyone able to work through the average price, the average commission, down to how many homes you have to sell?
I did, yeah.
Serene, you want to share with us how many homes you have to sell this year to hit your big why?
I think we end up with 12 transactions for 100,000 as an annual income, GCI. And we work on the 411 as well, just to break it down, and on a weekly achievement that I have to do on a weekly basis. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Is 12 achievable?
Of course, I'm gonna make it achievable.
12 is really achievable.
Yes.
Very much achievable. The fact of the matter is that 12 is a good start. And I don't know what you did in the past. I know that when before real estate, I was selling. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Serene.
I'm just a brand new agent, and so.
But before you sold real estate, what did you do?
I'm just a mom.
Okay, so 100,000 is a lot of money, right? So I sold pharmaceutical sales for 12 years. And everybody thinks that's like the most lucrative job. I think the best year I had, it was $136,000. And I thought I was doing great. When I got into real estate, you know, our opportunity is so much greater, right? So, you know, kudos for you for working through that. Did anyone else work through it that had an aha?
Yeah, Kat, I worked through it. And the aha is sort of built into the last few weeks. I have the license I've had for about almost going on my finishing my third week, but it's like, all right, I got that number, but I haven't accounted for the ramp up time that I need to start to get into the rhythm. And so it's got me rethinking my number.
What is the ramp up time that you're concerned
Well,
about?
I don't know what that's going to be because I'm a new agent. So my number is 250. It's 30 transactions. It's big. It's a stretch, but you know, just getting through the sphere of influence and then having those calls lead to the appointments, you know, that. So, I mean, I'm still early enough where I'm not worrying about it yet, but I would imagine there's some point in the year I'm going to have, you know, the rate is going to be higher than it is.
How long a day do you work on calling through your sphere in that?
Right now, it's been 8 hours a day. I pretty much dedicated everything to it for the last 3 weeks.
Good. That's really good. I mean, people are now knowing, okay, Ken's now in real estate. You know, I'll start thinking about him. So, you know, it does take a little while, but I mean, you know, you could definitely hit that number this year. As long as you continue to do the actions that need to happen. Does that make sense to everyone?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So you not only have to look at how much you want to make, you have to back out the company dollar, the franchise royalty, which will come down to exactly what you can make, you know, exactly how many houses you need to sell. I myself, just to give you guys a heads up, I don't look at GCI so much as number of houses. So for me, if this was my goal, I would try to hit 20 homes. Because I know that every year that I sold real estate, my price point went up every single year. So I try to take that kind of out of the equation, because if I hit 20 and my price point continues to rise, what does that mean?
Your GCI is going
drive.
up.
Absolutely. Your GCI is going to go up. You know, that's a great thing, right? So that's kind of how I do it. And, you know, like I said, I think that it works for me. All right. So you can set your goals in Command. Has anyone done that yet?
No.
No.
Okay. There is a way to easily track your activities in Command. I know that I actually have, you know, when I go through and I make phone calls and I have a lead, you can mark it as a lead and it goes into, you know, the pipeline. I would probably ask, you know, either Anne-Marie or who would they ask, Anne-Marie?
Lisa.
Lisa. Yep. Yep. To help you guys figure that part out. So you need to do the right activities to hit your goal. And we've talked a little bit about that so far, haven't we? What do we got to do?
Phone. That's what
Talk to people, call people.
Yep. Real estate is a contact sport, guys. That means you got to get out there, you got to shake the trees, you got to make friends. You know, not only do you have your sphere of influence, but it's really important to add to your database, because let's face it, if your database stays at 250 throughout the whole thing, you're not really growing, you're staying stagnant. So start thinking about, how can I meet more people? In COVID, it's a little bit more challenging, but there's still ways that you can meet people. You could ask for introductions from your friends, that type of thing. All right, here's the 80-20 principle. Before KW, has anyone ever heard of the Pareto's principle? Nope. I didn't. That being said, I knew it was out there because I knew that in my little pharmaceutical world, 20% of the doctors were going to give me 80% of the scripts. So as a pharmaceutical rep, what would that look like for me? That means that those 20% I would shelter, save, make sure nobody touched them because they were giving me what I needed. It's the same way with our efforts out there. I appreciate, I think it was Justin that said that he likes to get little things done to feel like the win. But those little things really don't help with the big rock that you really have to move. There's a great video online if you look up 80-20 Pareto's principle, and it's basically a big vase, like a big tall vase or tube or whatever, and they call somebody up from the audience to fill the tube up with all of these rocks. Well, she starts with some small ones and she puts the big ones in and more, some more small ones. Couldn't get all the rocks in there. So the presenter of it took over. He put all the big rocks in there, which fit. And then he poured all the little rocks in it. And guess what? They all fit because the little rocks took over the real estate space that the bigger rocks weren't covering. To me, that was, for me, the biggest aha moment is to realize, oh my God, I know I like to do these little things and check them off, but what's the most important thing that I need to do today? I need to call people. I've started circle dialing in a neighborhood because I have a client who's looking at wanting to move into that neighborhood. What you're going to find is once you put into action, once you put it out in the universe and you do what you need to do, it'll come find you. It'll come find you. Does anyone else have anything to share with the 80-20 principle? One person. I'm going to start calling.
Yeah, and I'll share with you.
Thank you.
To me, when I recognize that I don't have to get 100% of it done, that 20%, it sort of gives me a reason to say, all right, move on. You don't get paralyzed in that space and grind the last few times. You just move on. And that really, that concept of 80-20 really helps me move on.
Wow, that's great. So it kind of frees your headspace up a bit, right?
Correct.
That's a really good aha. And yeah, I haven't found that one yet, but it is out there. It's, I'm gonna have to stew on that one for a minute because you're absolutely right. I'm thinking about all these little things that I need to do, but if I just focus on that 80%, everything else will be taken care of. Everything. So I really appreciate that, Ken. Anybody else want to comment? All right. So once again, this is Gary's quote. What's the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? So I've been chewing on this for a while. First thing that pops into your mind is what? Nothing?
Internet leads? I don't know.
The first thing is to try to get leads, try to lead gen. For me, I don't mind lead genning. The one thing that will make everything easy would be my mindset. So that's why right now I'm working on my mindset, because if I'm in a positive mood, I can pick up that phone all day and talk. Whereas if I find myself shifting, I shy away from the phone. So, think about that. What is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Does anyone wants to share?
Just pick up the phone for me.
Pick up that phone. You know, you should be spending a specific amount of time preparing for your calls. You should spend a specific amount of time making those calls. And then you need to have a specific amount of time with the follow-up of those calls that you made. So, you know, it's everything. This is why I love Keller Williams. Everything is a system. And how much easier is it for you in your life to have a system to follow and not have to make it up? Right? I didn't start at Keller Williams. I started at another firm and I had no system. I was like willy-nilly and I was still doing okay. I was doing good. But when I came to Keller Williams and I was able to see the system, I wish somebody would have given me the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, because that is, I mean, for me, that is like the biggest aha book for me in real estate. And until I moved to Boston, I read it every single year just to refresh my memory. So, and every time I read it, I got something new out of it. So we just need to focus on the one thing that's going to help us do our business. So we have talked about, let me see. What successful agents do every day to grow their business and then to run their business, which would be set goals, and attend training and get coaching. Now, setting goals are great, right? You feel like you've got something accomplished, you have your goals, but what happens a lot with those goals?
They're not met.
Why do you think they're not met sometimes?
The effort isn't being put in.
Possibly.
Or you exceed the goals and then you have to reset.
So this was me until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I would make my goals in December, get really excited about the goals. And guess what? I would take that beautiful little goal and put it on the shelf and not revisit the goals. Has anyone ever done that? Am I the only one that does that?
I mean, I'm still new, but I can like visualize what you're saying, to go back to your goals and what's your plan that you planned on December, and try to look at it every once in a while just to keep you on the right path that you're going to achieve that goals.
Absolutely. When those goals are put out of sight, they're pretty much out of mind. But if they're in front of you, then you're going to see it, and you're going to, you know, between the goals and your big why spread, you know, worksheet in front of you, you're going to be more, you know, more apt to pick up the phone. You're going to be more apt to track what you're doing. And that's the success of what successful agents do. All right, so this leads very nicely into one of my favorite things, which is your 411. So you're going to have an annual goal, which would be a number of, number of homes or GCI that you're looking for. Oops. You might, what else might you put on there?
Maybe how many transactions, how many appointments.
Appointments could be on there, absolutely. How many listing appointments, how many buyer appointments? What else?
How many touches?
How many touches could be on there? Absolutely. What about your training calendar? I'm going to do X amount of trainings this year. Could you see where that might be helpful? Because trust me, I've been there before, where my license is about to expire and I'm having to eat 15 CEUs in one weekend or week. So if you were to put your training calendar in there, that would be helpful. Another thing, like I had talked about, Keller Williams or real estate is what? A contact sport, right? What if you were to put, I am going to add 100 new names in the command every year. Let's just say 120. That would be how many per month?
10 per
10
month. Mhm.
per month. Do you think you could do 10 per month?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're going to have to work on it, but what would you get out of getting 10 new contacts a month into your database?
Maybe one listing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the more it's proven, the more people that you have in your database, the more that you work your database, the more you make sure, you know, you are in contact with them 36 times, is the better opportunity you're going to have to get that real estate transaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that might be something else that you would put into your goals. Does that make sense? So once you have those goals, here's your annual goals where they lie. Then what you would do is you would take your annual goal and split it down to the monthly goals. And Serene, you said you need to have one closing a month, correct?
Yeah.
So here you would put your one closing a month. You would put 10, you know, 10 new contacts a month. You would put maybe one educational thing a month. Then you go down to the weekly goals. So what does that look like?
These become the tasks that you follow through on to get to those goals.
Monthly goals. So if she has a monthly goal of one closing a month, how many contacts is she going to have to make on a weekly basis? It's only up to her. I mean, she had, I don't know, a 36. How many contacts did you have in your that day on Thursday? You're muted.
Was it 180 something?
Okay, so you had 180 contacts. And how many, was it contacts that you had, or was it dials? Or was it 300 dials?
Dials.
How many contacts did you get from those dials?
How many contacts from those dials? Are you asking about the appointments that I make?
Nope, how many contacts?
What do you mean?
How many people did you talk to?
About like 180 people.
Oh, you did talk to 180 people.
Yes.
Okay. And how many appointments did you get?
About I'm not sure, was it 9 or?
We'll go with 9. So
Yeah.
guess what? You have to make 20 contacts. If those are your numbers, which everybody has different numbers, if those are your numbers, you need to make 20 contacts to get a listing.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. That's really good.
It's just
I mean,
not easy with the COVID now, just to get, you know, like some people, they're just not having it to talk to people that much. Like that's the problem now. But I'm working on it. Like,
let's take that problem and turn it around. Guess what? Hopefully by June, July, August, we'll all be inoculated.
yeah, that's what we're looking
and you know what? I think that that's going to be a game changer for us in real estate, because people are going to have to move and they know that things are getting better.
Yeah.
So, you know, the positivity is focusing on that, you know, I think, and just reassuring your clients, hey, you know, this is not going to last forever. We need to have a game plan. So when it breaks, we can get in there. So what you're going to do, like I said, is that you're going to break it down to, I'm going to call, let's just say you call 10 people a day. I'm going to call 10 people a day, which is 100, or no, 50 a week. Is that doable?
Yeah, that's what I have on my calendar, honestly.
Mm-hmm. You know, so hopefully if you do this repetition for the whole 4 weeks, that's 400 people, you should be able to at least get one closing out of that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
So that would be your weekly goals. Another weekly goal would be to add to the database, like we had mentioned. You know, another weekly goal would be maybe do some training. So what I do is I do my 411, and guess what I do with my 411?
You hanging on your office?
Time block. Have you guys ever heard of time blocking?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So you already have, just like Ken alluded to, you already have the actions that are needed to hit those monthly goals. And you're going to take those actions and time block them. You don't even have to think about what you have to do. You just look at this and you put it in. Does that sound easy? Simple, I guess, is the word.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
time
we've
blocking
got
is
to,
key.
we can't let those blocks be eroded by distractions.
Which comes from, if you must erase, replace. So can you time block 3 hours from 9 to 12 to do your calls?
Yes, I do.
And something came up. What do you do?
It depends. Well, I have to evaluate whether that something can be addressed later on. I usually push it off to another time and reschedule it, or if it's urgent, then I have to rearrange my time block
Yep.
accordingly.
You might be doing maybe one hour in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon.
Or
You
do
know.
the evening, or shift it to
Yep.
the weekends. Yep.
Yep. So those are the things that, you need to start thinking about when you're putting this together. Do you guys have the action goal worksheet?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I know Ambry has one that she really likes. So,
And Kat, I think it also exists on the Google Drive in some spot too, doesn't it?
possibly,
Yeah.
possibly. I'm not sure about this Google Drive thing because nobody's invited me to go look at it. All right. So don't lose focus. And that's why you need to have your why right in front of you, so you don't erode that time that's so important to you to do. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to that? Any tips or tricks on how to stay focused? Build a bunker. Go ahead, Melissa.
I saw recently somebody, and I haven't implemented this yet, but somebody said they set their timer for 30-minute increments. So it reminds them to get up, take a walk, move away. I'm so guilty of that. I mean, we're all sitting way more than we used to. I think that's really a great thing to do, just to clear your head and keep going, Ken, I don't know who you're calling for 8 hours a day. I'm just like amazed. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I
that's
got
a
a
lot.
big list, and I know the ones that are early risers and the ones that are in the afternoon, the ones that are coming home. So I'm done though. I'm pretty much done with that list.
So, Melissa, I think that's a great idea. But when I used to go in the office and people were there, I'm a very sociable being. So I would make my calls, and then reward myself by doing one little lap in the office and then going back into my room and calling. Because, that was my reward for making those calls,
I just want to share one advice that Lewis gave me for making phone calls, and that really works with me so well, is that don't think about the calls that you made. Like you made a phone call, maybe you get rejected or whatever, just don't think about it too much. Go ahead and make the second phone call. So that's really what keeps me going, is just not thinking about anything happens with the call that you already did. Just write the note if you have anything, or if they are excited or they want you to call them back or anything, and then just keep going. That's what really keeps me going on phone calls, because I wasn't like that before Thursday. I was just like making maybe a couple phone calls, and then if I get rejected or they said, you don't call us back or something like that, I just hang up and then didn't make any other phone calls. So
you make such a great point too, is that, it is what it is. They've said no. Maybe at that moment I had somebody tell me, I'm not selling my house, bam. And in the past I would have been dejected a little, but I think what I did, like when this happened is like, I'm that much closer to a yes. The next person will say yes. The next person will be nice. you know, the net, you know, so, you know, like you said, Serene, it's behind you, it's done. Don't spend any head space there, because then you'll not want to make the next phone call. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So this one says, I have to keep moving you guys around. Accountable people will achieve results others can only dream of. Oops. What do you think that means, guys?
Walk the talk.
Right. I actually, every Monday morning, I have a conversation with an accountability partner. From 8:30 to 9, we talk about what we did this week, what we didn't do this week, and what we're going to do next week. And what I find is I've been talking to her for, I think I was talking to her before I even left here. So she was with me all the way from the move to back here again. And we talk every single week. She's out of New Jersey. So she's, you know, in a KW Market Center in New Jersey. And great way to start my week, because I'm focused. We talk about what we're going to do this week. I'm focused. And I know that next week she's going to keep me accountable for what I'm doing. So do you guys have an accountability person? And could she be on this phone call?
Not yet, no.
Doesn't Anne Marie do that with you?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes.
Anne Marie.
Besides our coaches, yeah, besides our coaches.
Yes. I mean, but you know, they're going to be there for you and they're going to make you accountable. But like right now, I'm out here. I don't have, you know, I do have a coach, but it's not an accountability coach per se. But you know, she's there and she keeps me accountable. We talk about the market in each different area. We talk about strategies on, you know, what's working there. Like right now, I saw something on Facebook about somebody lost out 3 times to cash buyers. So we were talking about the strategies that they're using here versus strategies they're using there. I mean, I look forward to that phone call every single week. So accountability is the most important thing. If you're going to say, oh, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week, how much accountability is there? Not a lot. So that is, you know, a little bit about accountability. Any questions, comments, or concerns? So there were some things thrown into the chat. Let's look at those real quick. Can't find my chat box. Does someone want to read them to me?
Am I muted? I'm not sure.
Frank is asking, are your calls warm buys or sells? How to avoid do not callers?
Call list. Some lists will say if they are a do not call or not a do not call, Frank. So I won't call a do not call. For me, my calls, like I had shared with the group, I was circle dialing in a neighborhood. I mean, I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I'm just asking if they know of anyone who's looking at selling, because I have a client who's moving in from Atlanta that's looking into the neighborhood and loves the neighborhood. You know, it's not like I'm trying to sell them something, or, you know, so I typically don't think that that's a do not call issue, but I would definitely check that out with Anne Marie, because she's the person who knows everything for you. So the warm, and then I think Melissa said that she's dialed through her SOI, right, Melissa?
Yeah.
So your SOI should be a warm call.
Yeah, I haven't paid for leads yet. I know that's like a big thing, but I guess you have to spend money to make money. That's what a lot of people say.
You know what's short money, and that's been working with a lot of people, is Facebook ads,
Can you define SOI? What is?
sphere of influence,
Okay,
people you know.
right.
You know, I know, you know, you could maybe find a house that you really like that somebody's putting on the market and ask them if you could put some Facebook ads to it. More than likely they would say yes, because that's advertising the house that they have, but you'd be getting the leads. Does that make sense?
But what do you get when you advertise for somebody else?
People will click on the thing and fill it out with their information, and then you follow up and say, hey, thank you for your interest in 123 Main Street. I would love to chat with you if you don't have a realtor.
Okay.
So, all right. So the next part is recaps and ahas. So has there been any ahas in this?
Yes.
Tell me, Frank.
Oh, I'm just thankful for what you just alluded to concerning the do not call us, because that was a touch point for me. Getting out there and reaching out to people. Of course, I need to do more on my sphere of influence. I really got to get busy because I'm a recent retiree, and it's a little murky for me right now. Been at it for a while, but still new company, finding out new things, and just trying to get motivated again. Because when you don't have to, it's making myself do what I want to do is a little more.
That's why you need to have your goals in place. You need to have your big why in place, have it in front of you. And, even if you're retired, you can spend, 4 or 5 hours a day just calling your friends and saying, hey, I'm in real estate. I'd love to help you. Frank, it's really funny because I had no clue, because I started in another agency. I had no clue this whole thing. And it definitely took my business to another level. So how has your thinking changed? Now, Frank just had a aha with the thinking, right, Frank?
Yes.
What ideas or mindsets were new? Does anyone want to share that?
It's funny on like Facebook, I get like advertisements for like geofencing. You don't know what to think of it.
It's an interesting concept. I know that with Keller Williams Command, the Facebook ads are so much cheaper, and you can target who you want to see. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm preface this from the beginning, talk to Anne Marie about it before you do anything. So the mindset, what's changed? Just knowing why you're doing it, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of power and positive thinking, and that's all you hear is positive thinking, which is good,
Right.
And if you read the book, it's just it's fuel in the fire. It's more positive thinking, and I think it pushes us all.
Oh yes, I'm going to get the book.
Which one?
It's the Millionaire or something.
Millionaire Real Estate.
Yeah, right.
Agent.
It's a game changer. It was a game changer for me, definitely.
I bought the other one too. I bought
One thing.
Real Estate Investor.
Oh, okay.
So,
was that really different than the other one?
Oh God, I hope so. I didn't read it all yet.
So what do you feel different about? What was meaningful for you guys today? I sure hope you guys got a little something out of my training.
Yeah, so much we can't even think of all of it. We're trying to gather our thoughts, so it's very interesting. I enjoyed all that I've heard so far, and I'm motivated to
Good.
get at it. So that's one thing I got out of it. Get at it, stay at it.
Yeah, and push forward. Push forward through the rejection of a bad phone call, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, just what Serene said. Yep. It's behind you. Put it in a bubble, blow it away.
That's it.
Next, you're that much closer to a yes. Whenever you get a no, you're that much closer to a yes. And I would recommend you guys tracking everything. Every dial you make, every time that somebody picks up, every time you got a no, every time you get a yes, because that's going to give you the roadmap. Now, does it look different for different types of lead gen? Yeah, it does. Like your sphere of influence, you probably get a little bit more out of than cold calling, so just start thinking about how you're following everything up. How will your behaviors be different going forward?
What
I
she
think,
said.
yeah, we have to stay disciplined. And I think if there's a take home for me, it's a reminder of that discipline translates to success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that accountability is a huge piece. Discipline and accountability go hand in hand. And, being accountable to your goals, being accountable to your 411, checking the box to say, hey, did I do it this week? I fell flat. I didn't do it. Let's put it back to the next week. So, every Sunday I spend a little time looking at what I did last week, and then a little bit of time of looking about what I'm going to do next week. And I fill that 411 out. And then that way, every week, I'm getting that much closer to that end zone. Does that make sense? All right. What tools, models, or systems will you definitely use in the future?
Oh, command for sure.
Command. Yep.
And,
Too bad there's not a 411 in the command, because then you could put your 411 and you could put your Y and all of that there, because, we'll be living in command. So, all right. Building daily successful habits. So this is what's your goals for your career. 10 contacts added a day. 10 conversations a day. No, 10 contacts added, I think it's a week. 10 conversations a day. 10 handwritten notes, which that's easy, because if you're doing 10 conversations, why wouldn't you follow it up with a handwritten note? It was super nice talking to you today. I hope everything works out. Here's my cards. I usually put at least 2 cards in. Here's my cards in case you meet somebody who's looking for a home. And then lastly, 10 homes previewed a week. So a little hard to preview homes nowadays, right? But you need to stay on top of the market. You need to stay on top of the market that you're focusing on. You need to be in that MLS probably on a daily basis, looking at what's up for sale, looking at what under contract, looking at something that's maybe been on the market for a couple of months, and seeing, is it overpriced? What would you do different with that home? We have, if you have no clients right now, you have nothing but time on your hands, right? And it's best to keep that time on your hands learning. So, all right. So you're going to lead generate, you're uncover motivations, identify objections, close deals, speak in terms the customer understands. Can somebody give me an example of when you don't speak in terms that the customer understands?
Like acronyms and things like that.
The what?
Like using acronyms that they would never understand.
Yep. DOM, MLS. Some people don't know what MLS is. And then you're going to want to build confidence. And every day that you lead gen, you should be more and more confident, because you're learning your scripts, you're learning the objection handling scripts, you're learning everything you need to know. So the more you do it is the better you get. All right. So Anne-Marie, are you there?
I'm here.
You told me 30 minutes, an hour, and I've done right at an hour.
That's great. Anybody have any questions?
Great job, Kat.
It's been a pleasure.
Wait. Did you, there are 2 things. Are your calls warm buys or sells. Did you answer that question?
Yes, we talked about it.
Yes, thanks.
So I'm just gonna, thank you, Kat, very much. One of Kat's abilities, and I think it just really comes natural to her, is the ability to put people at ease. And I'm sure that's something that you've picked up on today, but it is interesting because Kat parlays that to her clients. And
Wow.
I think when she's calling people, that also is one of her special gifts.
Thank
I
you.
think it's because she's from the South.
I haven't been there since
How do we learn that?
97, but
Wait, who said that?
It's me.
What did you're from the South too?
No, I'm not. And I'm not a very calming talker. So I need to learn.
It is interesting. They talk about mirror and matching and how important that is. So
very much important. And by the way, I haven't been in the South since 97. Thank you. And probably won't go back. Just
I
saying.
think it's just your Southern kind upbringing. It's that Southern hospitality.
Hey, Anne-Marie, just a real quick tip. Record yourself on a digital recorder and listen to yourself, and you can tell if you're soft or gentle or rough or Southern, however you want to do it.
Let me tell you something, Ken. I do not need to record myself on a recorder to know that I am not soft and I am not gentle. All right. Awesome. See you guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Pat.
Thank you guys. It was
Thanks,
fun.
Kat. Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Okay. Over and out.